What's happening, party people? It's your favorite neighborhood lawyer, Marquel Cade with Cade Mark Law, back with another resource for you. Today, we're going to talk about living wills versus last wills. Despite their similar names, last wills and living wills are legal documents that serve completely different purposes, although there can be some overlap. The major difference between a living will and a last will is that with a last will, you choose who you want to inherit your property after you pass away. Most people are familiar with this concept, but with a living will, you outline your preferences on your future healthcare treatments in case you're ever unable to communicate those wishes to doctors or loved ones. A last will and a living will manage different aspects of your life, but both make sure that your affairs are managed according to your wishes. Getting into the nitty-gritty, a last will is a legal document that describes how you want your property and assets distributed after your death. The person who writes a will is called a testator, and the people or organizations or whoever is set to receive those assets from the will are called the beneficiaries. Any property you own, including real estate or vehicles or bank accounts or personal items, can be passed on to someone or an organization through your will. But you can also use your will to nominate guardians for your children, for your dependents, for your pets if you have them. This ensures that anyone currently in your care is provided for, even if something happens to you. Finally, you use your will to nominate your executor, the person who's going to carry out the wishes outlined in that will after you pass away. Your executor will be in charge of distributing these assets to your beneficiaries, to paying outstanding taxes, to closing debts and accounts and everything that's outstanding. They pretty much are in charge of wrapping up your life. If you die without a will, state-specific laws called intestacy laws step in, and they determine who will receive your assets. This is why it's important to have a will before you die, no matter how old you are or young you are or impending you think your death is. By contrast, a living will is a legal document that lets you specify your healthcare preferences in case you're ever unable to communicate them yourself. For example, if you were in an accident and were to go unconscious, typically your living will won't go into effect until you become incapacitated. But this living will can cover preferences on many healthcare procedures that may be required to help you recover from that accident while you're unconscious. Breathing tubes or ventilators, feeding tubes, blood transfusions, dialysis, pain medications, organ donation, not just a little heart on your license. CPR preferences, whether you have a do not resuscitate order. A living will is kind of like an advance directive. It's really a type of advance directive, actually. Depending on where you live, a living will might also be called a medical directive or an advanced healthcare directive. A living will can help your loved ones navigate a difficult medical decision with confidence, knowing that this is what you would want. Now, naturally, this leads my clients to the next question of, do I even need a living will and a last will? Do people have both? Is it common to have both? What happens when you have both? I think it's a great idea to have a last will and a living will because last wills and living wills operate differently, but both make sure that you're covered in important ways. They help you prepare for your future and make sure that your wishes are followed. You give your family, friends, and loved ones peace of mind by having a last will and a living will. They can rest assured knowing that your wishes are being followed after death or in the event of your incapacitation. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been the difference between a living will and a last will, and whether or not you should have both. Once again, I am Marquel Cade with Cade Mark Law, your favorite neighborhood lawyers. Protect your brand, grow your business. Stay frosty, my friends. We will see you next time. We hope this was helpful.